Hello, my name is Steve Kern. I'm continuing on with my Dungeons & Dragons role-playing game Red Book Rules, copyright 1980 edition. In the last video session, I completed my vampire data, my bat data sheets. This one. The normal bats, the giant bats, the giant vampire bat, and the vampire data sheets. And then this is page 2, and it is page 3 for the vampire. This vampire needs to be redone, but that's not on my agenda right now. What I'm trying to figure out is what to do next. The idea of this is to make a list of all the environmental do the environmental systems for all the -1 monsters. But the vampire is really just popped out. It just really popped out. And I just may, instead of going on with going to the giant centipede, which would be the next -1 monster to work on. Let's go down the list here on the -1 monsters. And then do this -1 monster for the expert rules. I just may go with the rats and wolves. And I was looking at that, and so the vampire, if I just go with the straight, just do the vampire setting, the vampire is level 7 to level 9. And let's see here. You know that is a 0 hit dice monster. And the giant bat is a level 2 monster. We go to the giant rat, or go to the rats. Normal rat is a 0 hit dice monster. And a giant rat is a half hit dice monster. Then we go to the wolves. The normal was a 2+2 hit dice monster. Can you see? There we go. And then a dire wolf is a 4+1 hit dice monster. So you have let's just go with it. Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, I can see that. RPG. Let's do that. Red Book Rules. Copyright 1980. Ooh. There's not as much space to play with on the sides with this new paper. Vampire storyline. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's a I changed they ran out of paper, so I have different brands of notebook paper, and they are different companies. They do things a little bit differently. Okay, let's see here. So we have monster lists. A normal bat, HD0, HP1, basic, a giant bat, HD2, basic. Oops. And another giant. I need to just get the bat in there. HD2. They have a giant vampire bat. HD2 asterisk. Then you have a normal rat. HD0. HP1. You have a giant rat. HD1/2. HP 1 to 4. That's basic. Have a normal wolf. HD 2+2. Basic. Have a direwolf. HD 4+1. Basic. Have a vampire. HD7. Asterisk, double asterisk. 2/9. Double asterisk. That's the expert. Direwolf mentions, let's see here. Let's look at rats, see what they have for monsters. Okay, Wererats. Okay, they mentioned Wererats, so we're going to do that. Undead monsters. And then we have wolves. And so we have direwolves are sometimes captured by goblins, so we do that. Let's look at the goblin. Okay, so Lycanthropes. HD3. That's basic. Undead. Goblins. HD1 -1. So we see there's undead, we have ghouls, we have skeleton, you have a white, you have a zombie. White is HD3. Zombie is HD2. Skeleton. HD1. Ghoul. HD2 asterisk. Basic, 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 undead. So we have mummy, you have a specter, vampire. Okay, we did vampire already, so. And then you have a wraith. Wraith has an asterisk. It's an HD4 double. Spectrus. Asterisk. HD. Oops, we need to go X. Six. X. Then we go with the mummy. So you have HD0, HD1 half, HD1, 2. Okay, basically level 0, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, level 6, level 7, 8, and 9. So your monster levels goes from 0 to 9. And so you can basically do a vampire storyline from a starting character and then max out at level 9. Within this campaign setting, you can your character you can do your character campaign would be strictly a vampire storyline. And events from character generation to level 9. So we can do a vampire story campaign module storyline that's centered around the vampire, and the character can go start, and that'll be the entire campaign. So as so. Okay. Dungeons and Dragons RPG. Red Book Rules. Copyright 1980. An environmental system. Normal rat. You see what I'm doing, I don't need to speak. I'm wearing my glasses so I can write this far. If I was not wearing my glasses, I'd be have to be up here, and I had to tell you what I'm writing down. Normal wolf. And then we have dire wolf. Okay. Now, there is 2, 3, 4. Vampire storyline. Okay. Okay. What's the settings? Okay, vampire storyline. Okay. Here, okay, so earlier today, I was thinking about vampirism, lycanthropy, the turning undead, vampire bat and turning undead, and stuff like that. And diseases and stuff. Lycanthropy is a disease. The Wererats is a link are animals that transform into humans. Other lycanthropes are humans that transforms into animals. Therefore, what was mechanics? That should be over in the back. Okay, the mechanics, yeah. Oops. Okay. Let's do that. Okay, one, two, three, four. It's tilted. There's that. Okay, this should be over here. And then on that side. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Any victim who dies from having one's blood drained by a giant vampire bat and becomes an undead creature may be a vampire. A giant vampire bat may be a vampire. A vampire can take the form of a human or a dire wolf or a giant bat or a gaseous cloud at will. Okay, oh, these are vampire mechanics. Okay, okay. If a vampire is reduced to 0 hit points, it will not regenerate. These transformations. 5% of all giant bat encounters will be a group of giant vampire bats. These may be vampires. Instead of transforming into a giant bat, the vampire transforms into a giant vampire bat. Whenever a giant vampire bat transforms into a giant bat, there is a 5% chance that the vampire transforms into a giant vampire bat. A ghoul could be a demi-human who has become an undead creature by a giant vampire bat. So demi-humans, that would be orcs, elves, halflings, dwarves. Vampires can't cross water. Vampires can be destroyed by running water. If a vampire attempts to cross running water, let's make a saving throw versus death rate each round, or disintegrates. It's an asterisk, so that's an idea worth playing with. Maybe, maybe not. Giant vampire group may be a group of vampires. When a vampire transforms into a giant bat, the vampire becomes a carnivore. When a vampire transforms into a giant bat, the vampire always transforms into a giant bat. The vampire always transforms into a giant vampire bat. The vampire may transform into either a giant bat or a giant vampire bat, 5% chance. Okay, so, okay, all right, oh, because in a previous video, you can have wererats and werewolves as part of the okay, so werewolves would be normal wolves and not dire wolves. Okay, so let me get this written out, and then I'll go into dialogue. So I was thinking about lycanthropy and the giant vampire bat turning life forms into undead, and how that would work out. D&D basic rules does not really deal with diseases and illnesses. There's a lot of freedom and interpreting things within the Red Book rules. Now, I feel personally, I view the Red Book rules as being the kiddie version of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and I view Advanced Dungeons and Dragons as being the adult version of Dungeons and Dragons. And Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide. There are details concerning illnesses and diseases. You have charts and tables for how when someone can get sick, how long someone gets sick, the chances of death. There are texts describing the rhymes and reasons and causes and effects of implementation of these factors. It really goes into great detail. So, AD&D, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, has game system mechanics where Red Book rules. The copyright 1980. The game master, the play group, and the play characters. The play group could have an adventure setting or campaign setting, have an adventure storyline or a campaign storyline detailing the evolution or the establishment of lycanthropy as a disease, the turning undead by vampire bats, how that came about. Lycanthropy mechanics. Let's see here, how does this, I'm going to use terminology in this book here. Okay, lycanthropy, that's where it's at. Lycanthropy is a disease. Any human character who is severely hurt by were creatures loses more than half of his or her hit points when in battle with them will become a lycanthrope of the same type. The victim will begin showing signs about half that time. The disease will kill non-humans instead of turning them into were creatures. It may only be cured by a high-level cleric. Any character who becomes a full were creature will become an NPC to be run by the Dungeon Master only. Okay, so the disease will kill non-humans instead of turning. Okay, lycanthropy will not kill, so we're going to say lycanthropy will not kill giant rats. Undead mechanics. That's what I'm going to have to do. The rest, we are, you know what I'm saying? Almost, okay. Anyone bitten by a rat has 1 in 20 chance of being infected. This chance should be checked each time a rat successfully hits. The victim may still avoid the disease by making a saving throw versus poison. If failed, the victim will either die in 1 to 6 days. Otherwise, the victim will be sick in bed, unable to adventure for 1 month. Roll D4. The disease is deadly only on a result of 1. The disease may be cured magically. See D&D expert rules. Rats usually avoid humans when not attacked and are summoned by Wererat, for example, or defending their lair. Summoning creatures. Okay, I need to rat summoning creatures. Okay, giant rats. Wait. Okay, rat disease mechanics. Okay, I need to do that. So there, yeah, I was playing with the idea earlier today on the lycanthropy, the rat disease, and the giant vampire bat turning undead as being somewhat related to each other. So, wrap these mechanics. And so that's what how did I do that? Within the Red Book rules, there is no okay. Well, first of all, let's see here. Dagger. Iron rations, standard rations. Iron ration. AD&D has iron rations and standard rations. Iron rations are preserved food for one person for 1 week. Standard rations are unpreserved food for one person for 1 week. Within the AD&D system, there are game mechanics. The Dungeon Master's Guide has charts and tables and rules and text describing how standard food rations can result in illnesses and diseases, and how iron rations, preserved food, can result in illnesses and diseases. Circumstances and severity and duration, amount of time for the food to get spoiled, the amount of time that a person that eats the spoiled food gets sick, stays sick, how severity that sickness is, which may include death. So yeah, I was thinking about how combining all of this into Red Book rules, combining that all together. For the vampire storyline, and for the Wererat Lycanthropes storyline. Rat disease mechanics. For example, a giant rat could get eaten by or damaged by a werewolf. and a normal rat, a giant rat. A normal rat would die. A giant rat would turn into a Wererat instead of a werewolf. The come on. Where are you? Okay. Okay, Dungeons and Dragons RPG. We have the rat disease mechanics. We have the lycanthropy mechanics. And the giant vampire bat mechanics. One, two, three, four. So, okay. Rat diseases. Rat disease plus vampire bat. Bites. The creation of a giant vampire bat would be could result in a rat disease. Wait, let's look at this. The bite of a giant vampire bat does no extra damage, but its victim must save versus paralysis or fall unconscious for 1 to 10 rounds. This will allow the vampire bat to feed without being disturbed, draining 1 to 4 points of blood. Okay. Um, rat diseases. Giant rat diseases. May be linked to lycanthropy. Okay. Giant rat diseases. May be linked to giant bat undead ability. Undead creation. By giant vampire bats. Let's see here. One, two, three, four. Giant bat. Wait. Giant rat disease may be linked to undead creation. By giant no, that's on the giant vampire bat mechanic sheet. And then I have the same note for the rat disease mechanic sheet. Ran not kill giant rats, but Lincoln 3 will not kill giant rats, but will. Okay. I'm going to try to keep the language the same. Lycanthropes is a disease. Any human character who is severely injured by rare creatures will become a lycanthrope of the same type. But will transform the Wererat into will not kill giant rats, but will transform the giant rat into a Wererat. Okay, so and that's what I'm going to do for the time being. that's it for this video session. Vampire mechanics. Giant vampire mechanics. Lycanthropes mechanics. And rat disease mechanics. Campaign rumor notes. Yeah, okay, mechanics. So there is I would be remiss in not pursuing the vampire storyline information. I'll just stop here and just start going back to the under one hit dice monster stuff. So even though there is this would be an excellent campaign setup. Having the vampire storyline. So we'll see what's going on there. And okay. Vampire mechanics. The giant bat mechanics. The lycanthropes mechanics. And rat disease mechanics. And then you have the rumors tables right here. The campaign rumors notes. Actually, these mechanics tables, data, the vampire bat, the lycanthropy, and the rat diseases could would explain the undead. I can create an undead monster from the giant vampire bat as a new monster, but I'm not going to do that. So that's it for this video.